I got it.
I'd like to ask Chairman to please.
The IT wants to make sure that the Albany person is online.
Oh, okay.
So they're checking that right now.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
We're just checking to make sure that Albany is on the line. So
Yeah.
as soon as we verify that with technology, then we'll start.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Welcome. We'll go through
Thank you.
introductions in a minute. I'll say everything. Thank you so much. A few new people here, and so what I want to do is to go through and have everybody introduce.
Megan, go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Megan Mulgrew, the Director of Real Estate Transactions at CUNY.
Good morning. My name is Ali Vedavars, Deputy Executive Director for DDCM and also University Chief Engineer.
I'm Gwen Perlman, I'm the University Capital Budget Director.
I'm Philip Berry, I'm the acting chair of the board of trustees.
Mohammed Atalla, Vice Chancellor for Facilities Planning, Construction and Management, and the Executive Director of the City University Construction Fund.
Good morning. My name is Gustavo Ordonez. I'm the Chief of Staff to the fund, and I'm also a Associate General Counsel for CUNY.
Good morning, Scott Burrell. I'm CUCF General Counsel and Deputy Executive Director.
Good morning, my name is Courtney Sinadinos, and I'm the Special Assistant to the CUCF Fund.
Ralph?
Good morning, I'm Tony Stavisky. I chair the New York State Senate Committee on Higher Education.
Morning, I'm Brian Oberfeld, trustee, City University Construction Fund,
And also trustee.
and CUNY.
I'm Alan Van Capel, trustee of the Construction Fund.
Okay, and your other association as well?
I am the CEO and president of Educational Alliance, which is a large community-based organization downtown, and I'm a 1993 graduate of the university.
There you go.
And then online in Albany,
Hi, I'm Mark Lukowski. I'm the designee for the New York State Budget Director.
Okay.
good. Thank you very much, and welcome all. Really appreciate it. First action item that we have is the approval of the minutes for the May 27th meeting of the fund. The first thing I'd like to do is to entertain any amendments to the minutes.
Just one amendment. At the top of the meeting, it says 2020. The rest of the places, it's 2021. So I would just change that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for that. Any other amendments to the minutes? If not, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Is there a second to that? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Second resolution that we have is to bring to you the board committee report on governance. That was considered at the following at its meeting on July the 8th, and I'll present that to the board. The resolution of the construction fund for the annual report on procurement contracts and amended and restated guidelines for procurement. I'll read the resolution and then we can see if there's any discussion. This resolution approves and adopts the guidelines for procurement contracts as amended through June 1st, 2021, and the annual report on procurement contracts for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020. Is there any discussion on this? Mohammed, do you want to give any other explanation on that before?
Okay, I'll provide the explanation. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Exhibit 1 that is attached to the resolution includes a list of all procurement contracts listed by Canvas, and the highlighted firms are New York State Certified, NWBE, and SDVOP. The amendments of the guidelines are made to satisfy Section 2879 of the New York Public Authorities Law. And some of the highlights of the amendments are definitions of sole source and single source, and also providing and highlighting some of the process for engagement and support the engagement of minority-owned business enterprise, women-owned business enterprise, as well as service disabled veteran-owned businesses. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any other questions or discussion on this item? If not, can I have a motion to move? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. I'll now move to the next resolution, which is the construction fund adoption of guidelines for the disposition of real and personal property. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves and adopts CUCF's guidelines for the disposition of real and personal property as attached as Exhibit A to this resolution. And I'll ask for a brief explanation of this item also from Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. New York Public Authorities Law, Section 2896, requires that every public benefit corporation adopt by resolution comprehensive guidelines which shall detail the public authority's operative policy and the instructions regarding the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of contracts for the disposal of property, and designate a contracting officer who shall be responsible for the public authority's compliance with and enforcement of such guidelines. These guidelines comply with the requirements of the New York Public Authorities Law, Sections 2895, 2896, and 2897 regarding the disposition of real and personal property, and will govern the disposition by CUCF of real and personal property.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any discussion on this item? Any questions about it? Okay. If not, can I have a motion to approve this? Motion second. Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. It passes. The fourth resolution is the resolution of the fund authorizing the build-out of lease space for Ostos Community College at 429 Grand Concourse. Resolved that the CUCF provide funding for the build-out of the leased premises in an amount not to exceed $16 million. Do you want to give a brief explanation of this item, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. CUNY authorized, by way of background, CUNY authorized and entered into a new lease in 2018 that will provide Ostos Community College with approximately 28,640 rentable square foot on the ground and second floors of a new mixed-use and mixed-income development. The new development is expected to be ready for occupancy for the fall term. This is the schedule of the project, and will allow the college to move and consolidate a number of critical administrative functions, including hosting the expanded functions of the accelerated study in associate programs initiatives. And under the terms of the Ostos lease, the landlord is required to procure for the build-out of the leased premises at the university's cost, but subject to the same university requirements for prevailing wage and minority and women-owned business enterprises used by the university on capital projects. In terms of cost, the base rent of approximately $1,066,840 per year, which amount to about 37.25 cents per rentable square foot, and also allows for a fixed $5 per rentable square foot rent increase every 5 years. The fund that lease will be, or the payment for the lease will be provided 100% by the city. The full fund of the $16 million is appropriated by the state and the city, but we received the design portion of the appropriation by certificate. Now we are waiting for receiving the rest of the appropriation from the city and the state, and that will happen soon. We will start the construction once we receive the full funds. And we have on the slides here some pictures. We have a rendering for the building on the screen for how the building looks like. So the ground and the second floor, that is the exclusive use of the college. These are some rendering inside. As you see on the picture to the left is the entrance on the ground floor. It's interconnected with the second floor with an internal staircase, which will provide the privacy and the exclusive use of the college. On the second floor, we have some pictures and renderings of the design and some of the spaces as you see for the teaching and learning and collaborative spaces. It's really designed with all of the new technologies that would support new pedagogies and great learning environment. So, thank you. That will conclude our.
Thank you very much for that portrayal. Any questions and any discussion? Yes. Trustee,
Yeah, I just want to emphasize the fact that this is going to house, I believe, the ASAP program, which is one of the most successful programs that we have. Unfortunately, the executive recommended a cut, and in the April budget, the state not only restored the cut, but we increased the opportunity programs, especially ASAP, by 20%. So they will have a place to go, and I think this is going to be a great project. Thank you.
No, that's great. I mean, the one thing that we need to continually be aware of here on the CUCF is that the impact of decisions that we make on the educational life and achievement and access of students. I mean, so this is, so I'm really glad that the trustee has given us that information, so that way we can appreciate, the decision that we're making here. So thank you very much for that. Any other discussion or question? If not, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve it. Second.
Second.
All in favor, opposed, abstention. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. The next is the fifth resolution, is the resolution of the construction fund approving the increase in funding for the Real Estate Solutions Group, which I will call hereafter RESG, to provide real estate advisory services. I read the resolution. Resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the Executive Director of the Fund to execute such documents as may be necessary for CUCF to increase by $180,000 the funding from RESG for a total amount not to exceed $930,000 to perform the Task Order Real Estate Advisory Services under the CUCF Real Estate Requirement Contract. First, I'll ask for more of an explanation on this, and then we'll have discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The university's real estate portfolio, as we know, consists of over 300 buildings comprising about 29 million square feet across the 5 boroughs of the city of New York. RESG is assisting the university in identifying, valuing, and recommending potential monetization opportunities that will produce the best value propositions for the or to the university. During the course of the consultant engagement, initial scope items were needed and identified to ensure complete and comprehensive analysis of CUNY's properties. Some of the examples are included in the resolution. Original scope including identifying all as of right receiving sites for campus air rights. CUCF requested additional scope for the consultant to develop and apply an analytical framework to determine if each property had low, moderate, or high potential for redevelopment in the next short term, 1 to 3 years. Also, some zoning analysis for non-as-of-right projects were requested. So those are examples of the required additional service in order to optimize the outcome of this exercise. Thank you.
Oh, good, thank you. Any questions or discussion on the side? Yes, trustee.
Yes, I forgot to mention at the beginning that I'm a trustee, and I'm also graduate school at both Hunter and Queens College. The only problem and I'm delighted that this is a woman-owned business. However, I really believe we ought to be using New York State firms whenever possible. This is not a New York State firm. It's based in Philadelphia. And in the future, I think we have to try to give preference whenever possible to New York State companies. Thank you.
No, you're absolutely correct. We should be doing that. Does anybody know why doing the due diligence we had to go to Philadelphia as opposed to?
Excuse me. It was explained to me very clearly last night by Mr. Ordonez.
Okay.
And but I don't mean to interrupt, but I do thank him for the briefing last night. Thank you.
Okay. Anything? Anybody want to add to this from this time?
You want to speak? Go ahead.
Sure. So when we did the initial procurement in 2016, we went out with an RFP and selected the 6 best firms to do real estate consulting services. And so we executed a requirement contract with them, one of them being RESG. About a year and a half ago, we then requested them to solicit for this project, and the best firm that was qualified was RESG. The other ones were New York based, but this was the best qualified. It also happened to be a women-owned business, and so yes, we're going to try to make sure that when we go out, we select out of the requirements contract only New York based, but it turns out that this was the best qualified. Now, one thing that I will add, almost all the subs that the RESG is using are New York based firms. Architectural firms, environmental firms, all New York based. And most of the bulk of the 930,000 will go to those subs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Because I was going to ask that question. Is there any, are there opportunities that they can use their subcontracting to make sure that we're servicing?
But it was one of the times where we're able to award to a prime NW as opposed to, someone bringing an NW to meet the 30% requirement.
Right, exactly. Okay. No, thank you very much. It looks like that was handled as well as it could, and I think that the admonition of the trustee, regarding let's see what we can continue to do for New York-based organizations, it's, I think
we will.
Understood. Thank you very much. Any other discussion on this? Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. It passes. The next resolution is for the construction fund authorizing increased funding for the new nursing research, education research and practice center at Lehman College. Resolved that the CUCF hereby authorizes the additional expenditure of not to exceed $25 million for the total construction project costs for the Lehman Nursing Building, not to exceed a total amount of $100 million, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees, CUCF Board of Trustees, approve the funding for the Lehman Nursing Building for a total construction cost not to exceed $100 million. Sir, explanation on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to provide background, some qualitative aspects and background of the building and the project. The Lehman College building will be an approximately 52,289 gross square feet, 5-floor building on the site of current parking lot and the former bookstore, located between Carman Hall and Davis Hall. The nursing department is currently located in the temporary T3 building on campus, which will be demolished to permit expansion of Science Hall as per the Lehman College master plan. The new facility will provide the nursing department with state-of-the-art teaching facilities and support nursing pedagogy, which emphasizes campus-based simulation labs in addition to traditional clinical placement in the community. In terms of the budget and the numbers, the total appropriation for this project that was received from both the city and the state is $93.3 million. $90.3 million from the state and $3 million from the city in a way, totaling $93.3 million. In the summer of 2019, the CUNY board approved only a $75 million out of the 93.3 as a proposed project budget to proceed. And then shortly after, with a preliminary budget, the number came to 78.7, which is an increase of 3.7 million. And then a series of events happened that caused a gradual increase in the budget, including some of the examples are after the bidding and the construction bid. It came at an additional increased cost of 8.5 million. Also, the building code of the New York City required solar panels on all roofs, so that added another $500,000 to the budget. Also, a couple of inaccurate estimates in terms of the cost for the inspection. It was estimated at $150,000, however, it should be over $1 million. And also, the construction management estimate was underestimated for the construction management firm by about $3.3 million. So that did add up to a total increase of about $16.9 million, which is still within the appropriated fund, which is a $93.3 million. But there was also the need for $8.1 million for FF&E, the furniture and equipment, which adds a total increase to $25 million, hence the resolution to increase from 75 to 5 million. But the needed appropriation, increased appropriation is only 6.7 million. And that is the request that will go to the state to add this appropriation. Obviously, I mean, it happens in construction project. There is a high level of uncertainty and risk happen. In this project, there were quite a bit. And on behalf of our team in facilities planning and construction and management, we would endeavor to improve that and not to be in this position in the future, and to ensure that we would plan projects in a different approach. And I brought also some pictures from where we're at this point in the construction site. Its foundation, some demolition took place, and what we see here, the machine is drilling piles. The foundation of this building will be sitting on piles. As you see here, some of the work, some of the plywood for protection, preparing for some asbestos removal and abatement remediation that will take place. After the drilling of the pile, also cameras go down the piles to check the work, so that's what's happening on the picture on the left. Also some protection of the site due to the depth of the construction site to protect people. So those are some of the pictures that we wanted to bring to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this? Yes. Trustee?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've expressed to the staff my concern for the increasing cost, because 2 years ago it was 75 million, now it's up to 100 million. And I hope next year We're all here together. It's not going to be, we need another couple of million for this and for that. Secondly, the solar panels, the inspections, the other requirements, mandated costs. This would apply to all of the construction done by the construction fund. And I certainly hope that not each contract is not going to be increased. And the last point I want to make is that I feel very strongly about Lehman College. I have visited on a number of occasions, just driven through, and this is a wonderful school. And I think, though, that we've got to be very mindful of increasing the construction budget by 1/3 in 2 years is very, very troubling. I also serve as a member of the Senate Finance Committee, and we are trained to look at these things and question them. And I'm not in any way criticizing the construction fund, but on the other hand, I think we've got to be mindful because we're not always going to have the kind of funding that we have this year. Without a doubt, that is not sustainable funding. I know we put $100 million in for CUNY for construction, but I think we have to be very mindful that this is not an ATM machine. The ATM machine, they occasionally run out of money.
Yes, Senator.
Okay, but I thank you. I will vote for this, but I think we have to be very mindful on other and future projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that insight. Other comments on this?
Am I right? We don't manage this directly, right? This is the state. Is that?
We're working with DASNY.
Yes.
DASNY is doing this, so, and as I said in my update, is we will work very closely with our team and with the DASNY team. And I did have a phone call, a conversation with our colleagues in DASNY, and we're working through a process to improve that work, the reporting, the control, the projection and prediction of costs.
Because DASNY made these projections, right? It would be, I mean, for me anyway, someone who's new on the board, it would be interesting to see, and I think we spoke about this when we spoke on the phone, you know, a look back at the last, you know, however many years that's appropriate to see what was estimated in DASNY projects and what those projects ultimately cost, just to see what the gap is between both, because it's potentially, you know, this group, if managed within CUNY itself, may not have the same results if you know, instead of DASNY doing it. Because some of this, you would assume the build out, you know what a size, the square footage, what a build out would cost for it. So I'm very excited about the project. I'm excited that the City University is going to get such a state-of-the-art nursing building. So I think it's a huge win, particularly in this time, and a great statement for the City University to be building this project during this moment. But I think it's going to be something we might want to be taking a look at about who's managing some of these projects and whether some of it can be managed better closer to home than with the state.
Makes sense. No, thank you very much, Trustee Chappelle. Appreciate those comments. And I think what we'll do is I think we'll be advised, you know, on how we can meet some of the requirements, you know, that were just brought up, and what can we do so that way we can address that, you know, proactively as opposed to reacting. So think about something here. Thank you very much. So I'd like to move this resolution, and before I move it, I wanted to say that I am moving the resolution as in honor of Sandra Lindsay, who was a graduate of Lehman College and the first one in the she's Director of Critical Care at Long Island Jewish Hospital, and was the first one in the United States to get the COVID vaccine. So I think, you know, when we look at what CUNY produces, and again, results that we get, now she was a Lehman College graduate, so moving this in honor of her actions there. So all in favor? Opposed, abstentions. Thank you very much for that. That represents the action items that we have. The next item is for me to give a report. The report that I'm giving is just to indicate that on October the 21st, that will be our next meeting. And on that same day, the audit committee will meet. And the audit committee will meet at 9 o'clock, and then the regular, we'll have a 9:30 meeting for the rest of the time, just so you're aware. And that's all of my report. And next, the executive director, do you have any report?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and the team is working now, as you know, for the reopening of CUNY and bringing people back safely to the campus and working with our contractors and all of our vendors to develop a new process to safely access our buildings and maintain a safe environment during our work. So we have good focus and quite a bit of work that being done in this domain. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you also for arriving, hitting the ground running, and in this unprecedented time, and making yourself extremely available to the trustees to answer our questions, particularly myself as new, making sure I was brought up to speed. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no other action items, I am calling this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your month. Talk to you soon. Look forward to the next time.
October 21st.
Yeah.